Alright, I should probably fill in some gaps here. Unfortunately, while I was recording the debate panel, I'm at home right now after the convention's over, but while I was recording the debate panel, the actual video ended. It apparently only runs for 80 minutes, and then it stops running, or stops recording. My camcorder does. Because it's not an actual camcorder, it's more of a photograph camera that has video on. In any event, some updates I should make also. Unfortunately, the Gundam panel that I record, as well as the Neon Genesis Evangelion panel that I videotaped or tried to videotape, did not record for some reason. So I should really apologize for that too, because that, especially the Evangelion panel, was something that I really enjoyed and would have wanted to see a lot. Apparently my camera's having a few issues. I don't even know if it's recording this well. I actually tried recording an update like this in an outdoor setting because I don't really like recording in my house. I find that boring when people actually record stuff when they're just sitting at home. I usually like to get out and go somewhere, but it's almost midnight here and I'm about ready to go to bed. In any event, to fill in the gaps, as I said, the last video I made, where it left off, that's where the camera cut off. We kept the discussion going until I discovered the camera was off, or stopped recording and started up again. So I'll leave this video as part whichever in the next series, and then continue on with the next parts from there. In any event, where we left off at was me talking about Strike Witches and how it's looks like half of one show on top and half of another show on the bottom, because you have a dramatic scene going on, and you see them in their military uniforms, but you also have them in panties, so it's kind of hard to take the actual dramatic scene that I walked in on seriously, even though they were presenting it as a serious dramatic scene. It's like you were watching Full Metal Alchemist on one half the screen, and then on the lower half it's Girls Bravo or Ikki Tosen or something like that, which is a bit jarring. So I did bring that up, and I think all three of the people there, correct me if I say anything in error or need to actually change anything I say. By the way, if any of you three are watching who were there, let me know if there's anything I need to change in that or about what I said, and also let me know if I miss anything or need to correct anything. But it seemed the three there were kind of in an agreement on the Strike Witch thing, how that can be kind of confusing. But also, going back, the person who was okay, not necessarily for or pro fan service, but okay with fan service, went ahead and said that the example I gave of High School of the Dead was similar to where you'd see any sort of slasher, Jason horror movie that actually, or Friday the 13th movie or Michael Myers movie, where you always have the cute chick in there who's either partially naked or has a sex scene in there. So I guess High School of the Dead would be kind of similar to that, although it's what I've heard about is that the fan service is somewhat constant, even more so than the typical slash movie. I could be wrong, I've never seen the show. But in any event, and also there was kind of a general consensus that the that fan service itself oftentimes appears not just in anime, but there's always a little bit of it in all types of mediums of media, all types of movies and TV shows tend to have a little bit of eye candy in them. And there was also a kind of a consensus that there is actually more fan service in anime now than there used to be. So the amount of it's pretty much increasing. That's kind of that's kind of where the whole general debate of where it ended in the fact that, like it or not, the fan service is increasing because that's what sells. And whether you actually want to see some with less fan service in it or not, or don't care about, that's what sells, so there's probably going to be more of it. Then after that, we went ahead and moved on to the hentai discussion. Since we were on fan service, we decided to move it up and bump it up a little level to go the hentai discussion. And I think if I remember right, it was the same views on hentai as it was for fan service. You know, the person who was okay with fan service was okay with hentai because it's basically whatever you want to watch, go ahead and watch it. The person who was against hentai didn't like it because that they want to watch an anime for the story and the artwork. And the person who was either way, didn't matter either way, basically stayed the same as well. In any event, one of the things that was also brought up with the hentai thing about the person who was against hentai was against children watching it, which of course is understandable, and the fact that there does need to be a way to more limit what children see, not just in the hentai, but I think also in the fan service as well, and make sure that's not something that kids get attracted to. And I think the discussion went more towards what a 14-year-old would or 15-year-old would actually type in, and then their parents would find out later on what they've been looking at. And I also went ahead and brought up a topic in regards to the type of the situation where mangaka, or people who create originally animes or mangas, some of the animes are originally created as an anime, not as a manga first. So I'll say the manga and or anime creators, the mangaka or anime ka, as it's put. A lot of them go into hentai just because that's something that they can do. They can't go in. I mean, that's something that sells. They have to do that when they're starting out so that they can get an audience and attract people to an audience. And the only surefire way to actually get an audience to come to you is to basically show what would get attention the fastest and easiest way, which, as the saying goes, sex sells. And the actual mangaka or animeka, on the other hand, do have their own vision of a type of a story and message they want to get out. And a lot of the times they reserve it for their mainstream works, but because they want to be taken seriously as a legitimate artist, they'll go ahead and even take any hentai they have to do and make it a really, really involved story. Have a lot of drama, or at least make it really funny or something. Make it look like a show that would work and stand as an anime on its own, or as a manga on its own, even stand on its own without even a hint of fan service. And I think I also brought up about the hentai aspect of it, the person who was against it, or to all three of them, whether the aspect of hentai was just, straight out smut, or whether it was okay to have it, or what the purpose of it, I should say, was, since a lot of people like myself usually judge an anime by its art and its story first. And a lot of people usually do that, and of course, a lot of hentai can just be seen as a general anime or manga series with just a little bit more high-octane fan service. And except for the fact that could also be a problem with it too. If you actually do get interested in the story, want to watch it for that story, and then you have all this, like they mentioned with the fan service, if you have all the hardcore sex getting in the way, that can be a detriment too. So, but I think the general consensus was that yes, oftentimes hentai is kind of a necessary evil, because that's the only way manga creators can get in there. They often have their own vision, so you usually get out their vision, which means you have a combination of a really good anime, but also smut involved in there too. And eventually they'll go on to their own stuff, which would be a very good anime also, without smut in there. Now, I think, and also this led to the discussion of what types of series would actually be released without the actual smut in it. Specifically, Fate Stay the Night and Shuffle. I brought Fate Stay the Night, someone else brought Shuffle up, and I asked if taking and removing, because those were things that when they were re-released as an anime or manga series, or even in the case of Fate Stay the Night, re-released as an all-ages version of the game, because they were both eroge games, released as an all-ages version of that game for the PlayStation on the US. I asked if that affected the storyline at all. Most of them said Fate Stay the Night, the story wasn't really affected at all, but Shuffle, it did severely affect it. Some said negatively, some said just it diminished the storyline, some said just drastically changed it and altered the storyline. Some of the three, I should say. I do apologize, I don't exactly remember who specifically said what, so if anyone could fill me in on the Kuro Neko Con forums or in the comments section, please do so for this video. And after that, we went on to discuss I decided to go on to discuss some that was brung on in the Kuro Neko Con forums, where I was listening to the debate panel about other people or parents who feel that anime and manga is a waste of time and not really worth anything. Which I didn't then expand to people who were considered non-anime fans or somewhat anime haters on occasion. And we were pretty much starting that discussion, and I brought up, and one of the person who was in the middle at that point brought up that he was, or someone else in there brought up that he was the least of an anime fan of that whole group of people there. Not only those three, but the fourth one that was there also, who was basically just sitting and watching at that time. And then I ended up checking to see, noticing that this light on my camera, which is on right now, telling me it's recording, was actually off, so I decided to check on it and then restart the camera. And this is where we will pick up continuing the debate like you saw in the series, in the video previous to this one in the series.